Um, hey guys, I'm just making this video because I've realised after watching the past couple InSim videos that he is playing on a lot of old patches and everybody wants to know how to do that, and he keeps saying, no, you can't play on this patch, you can't play on this patch, but I have played on old patches of Phas, and it took a lot of head scratching to figure out how, and I've just kind of passed it on to my friends and we've been playing on the old patches for quite a while now, but I figured I'd just make this and just send the link to anyone who wanted to know how, because figuring out how was a culmination of staying up all night and looking at like 8 different Reddit threads and YouTube videos and putting different people's experiences together to actually get something that worked, because a lot of the old ways were patched. So there's a lot of junk on my screen at the moment, but first and foremost, you need to get this software here. Bear with me, never done a recording like this before. You need to get this software here, Depot Downloader. So you just go to this link or go to Google and type in Depot Downloader and hit that. Grab that. I believe I have it here. Just renamed it. You get a folder, and that's what'll be in it. And I've just extracted that here. So I highly recommend the drive that your Phasmaphobia is on. So let me just close this. This is where my Phasmaphobia is installed on Steam, and I'm currently on the same SSD. So I recommend making a folder on the same SSD your Phasmaphobia is installed on, or hard drive, just to do all this in, because you may run into problems later that I'll explain later. But yeah, make a folder somewhere, and I've just sort of named mine Phas Backup, and this is where I put everything. So there's a couple of things here. Back about a year and a half ago, Phasmaphobia changed their save file system, and as a result, if you play on an older patch, you'll get reset to whatever your level was when, like, just before they rolled over that save system. So for me, I've still got my old save system, so I'm about level 600 when I play old patches, because that's what I was just before it cut off. But you may be reset to level 1 if you never played them at all, because it'll just create a save file in the old system. Anyway, the only reason I mention that is it's a good idea to back up your save, because I know some people went corrupt here and there. Not saying that it ever happened to you, but I don't want to be the cause of saying, yeah, do this, and someone does it and their save file gets corrupt. So just in case, head over here to your app data folder, and then local low, and then find Kinetic Games, and just back this folder up. This is your entire save for Phasmaphobia. So if it does become corrupt, you can just paste it back in, and you'll be back to where you were when you copied it over. So I've just got my save here. I do this whenever I'm about to play a new old patch. I just back up my save again. Right, now that's out of the way. So this is an old patch I've got here. I've got a March 6th main build patch. I'll just bring over the patch notes for that. So, where am I? Sorry. There we go. This is a website I highly recommend using while you're doing this to find patches, because obviously you can't do beta build patches, unfortunately. I'd love to, but you can only do main build patches, and this particular one, as you can see, was one where DK has dumped like a bunch of stuff into the main build. This was one of the bigger updates. This is when the star system was introduced to photos, and a lot of other quality of life things like power being off in professional, adding an all button to the equipment for each individual equipment. At least you still had to click all on all of them, and other little things like that. Temperatures just being a little bit less easy. They're still easier, but not quite as difficult as nowadays in Phas. So yeah, I'd recommend hyperlinking this somewhere, because this website is brilliant. It's just how I check every Phas patch. And you can go into any of them and see this is a Steam beta branch, so we can't get the May 7th patch, say, because it's a Steam beta branch patch only. Anyway, so that's the patch I've got, and I will show you it working later in case anyone's not too sure. Other thing is, I have backed up the current patch of Phas, because when you're done with the old patch, you obviously don't want to have to re-download the 16 gig or 17 gig Phasmaphobia files from Steam, and unless you've got good internet. I do not, so I back it up. Probably a good idea. So yeah, that's just as simple as finding where it is on Steam. So this is my Steam folder on this SSD, Steam apps, common, and then Phasmaphobia. And just highlight it all, copy it, and just whack it in a folder. I recommend keeping everything in one place so you don't lose it. Anyway, my recording just stopped there for a moment. Right, so I'm assuming at this point you've got the depot downloader from GitHub. This is completely safe, by the way, but I'll explain that in a moment. You have backed up your save and possibly your game files. These two are kind of optional, but I'd recommend it highly, just to be careful. So right, you're ready to go. This command is going to come into it in a moment. So, what you want to do, left click up here, and then backspace it, and just type cmd.exe. It's going to bring this up. It's going to open a command prompt window that's targeted in this depot downloader folder. So this is the thing you got out of the RAR file. This needs to be done inside this folder, this cmd.exe. It must be done inside this depot downloader folder. You can also just, if you're smart enough, unlike me, go into command prompt like this and just change the directory to this folder. But I don't know how to do that, or I can't remember it off the top of my head. So this is much simpler for me. Something that may make your lives easier, because I will put this in the video description, I suppose, this command up here. You will want to right click command prompt, go properties, and here, use Control-Shift-CV to copy paste, so you can copy paste commands in here because you don't want to have to type this whole long thing out. So make sure that probably won't be ticked by default, but tick that and hit OK. Once you've done that, you need to close this and reopen it, because CMD, I don't think live updates, things like that, it's got to be closed and reopened so you can copy paste. Anyway, this is the command you will need to be using, and I'll explain it now. When you run this command for the first time, it's not going to do it for me because I've already installed .NET Framework, but it's going to bring you straight to a website. I will see if I can find it. Just opening up my history tab. Yep. So it will probably prompt you to get one of these, I'm assuming is when I did this the first time. I think it's some 5.0 variant. It'll prompt you. It'll come up with a web page and it'll say, here's .NET from framework from Microsoft, just download it. It needs a specific version, so even if you know you've already got a higher version, just get it off the website, it prompts you to. It's just a Microsoft download site. Same thing again, unfortunately, you've got to close it, reopen it, because it's it can't live update, it can't detect that you've installed .NET Framework as far as I know. So, yep, you paste this command in again, and this time it'll work, kind of. So I'll explain this command, you'll need to edit it yourselves. So, this is the command that lets you get old Phasmaphobia patches. So where I've put username here, you would replace this with your Steam username. And this isn't your Steam username you've got now. This is the Steam username you'd use to actually sign into the application. And same thing, you put your Steam password in. And I know a lot of people, at least in the videos I was watching when I discovered this, people were very suspicious on this, and I have email authenticator on for this, so I'd need to put in a code when I show you this. probably. I've done it a couple of times, but I think I still need to put in a code. The reason this needs this, you might be suspicious on this, but the reason it needs this is because the old method we used to use is getting Steam in dev mode, and there used to be another tab that would appear at the top here called console, I think, and you used to enter a similar code with these numbers and it would download that Steam patch, but Steam stopped it because people were downloading them and cracking them when they didn't own the game, basically. So it's this, and then they stopped it entirely. So first of all, they stopped it, and it needed you needed to be signed into Steam, and you needed to own the game, basically. Sorry, I'm finding it hard to explain this, but basically this application needs your username and password because it's actually downloading these files directly from Steam, even though it's an external application. It's using the same old method through the Steam console, but it's getting around Steam's blocks that they put in place. It's completely fine. And yeah, it needs your username and password because it needs to verify that you actually own Phasmaphobia, or Steam will just reject the request to download the files. So it uses your account to say, yes, I do own this, and when you run the program, you'll see that it will say like X amount of tokens available, and that's how many games you own on Steam. You should see that pop up briefly, and it's verifying you own the game. Anyway, I will show you, and I'll just blur out my Steam username and stuff. Right, these codes are special, so you'll need to, especially this one, you'll need to edit these 3 codes, or mostly just this one, to get a specific patch, and I will show you what that means. So you need to go to this website, steamdb.info. Sorry, just search it in Google. The first result. Super reliable site. This is just a database for all of the patches that go through Steam, as far as I know. Look, I'm stupid. Right, so you want to search Phasmaphobia, and then you'll be greeted with this screen. You want to go down to depots, and I believe it's this code you need to note down. Even though it says VR project content, this is the main build of Phas currently, and this is the ID that Steam uses to say you want Phasmaphobia. So the first code you're saying is, this is the game I want, this is the build I want, and this is the patch I want, I think is how it works. So this is the game, this is the build, so main build, and then we go find our patch we want, and you'll notice that that's that. Whoops, sorry. That's that because that's the game we want. That is that because this is the build we want. We want the main build. Unfortunately, we can't do the beta build because it's locked. Not sure why they did that, but story for another day. Okay, and should have explained that. You click on this hyperlinked main build number. So you've noted down these 2 numbers. You probably won't need to change these 2 because this is just game and build. You'll only need to change this number here. I'll leave this copied in the video description. So once you got in here, go to manifests, and this is all the patches from Phas, and this is where this website comes in handy. Basically, it's a bit of a pain, but you'll need to just go through when these sort of patches and find a point in the game where, like this was a main build update, where it doesn't just say Steam beta branch. If it says nothing, it was a main build update. So this was a main build update. So say you want the March 27th update. You've read through all these, you're like, yep, this is the update I want. Scroll down here. Where am I looking? Yep. What was it? March 27th. Yep, so you go in here, and then you get this ID here, I believe, which is also this ID, but you'll notice this ID is different to this ID, which was actually the one that was on the list, I think. Oh no, it wasn't. But sometimes the IDs don't match, so I'd highly recommend like going into it like this. See, that was a beta branch update. That's what you'll get if you went onto a beta branch update day. So if we go to March 6th, I believe that's the patch I've got. You'll notice that, yeah, this is the current build's ID. So if you were to copy this and paste it, you would just be downloading the current build of Phas from Steam. I did this by accident once or twice. So yeah, you want whatever ID appears here. This is the patch ID. So for me, I believe this is the March 6th patch. And I will use that now to show that this actually works. Right. I will just blur out. Hey guys, just editing this into the video because I had a really hard time blurring out my username and password while it was moving and things like that. I'm not very good. I've never done proper video editing before, so I've just cut that part out, so this might seem weird, but basically I'm just going to again show you how to run this. I'm just going to make it easier on myself by pasting in my username and password already there, so I don't have to track it moving while editing the video. It's a little complicated, but yeah, it'll be far easier for me to just blur it like this. But yeah, basically this is just the command with my username and password for Steam, and then I'd hit enter. I meant to hit that again. Oh, there we go. Don't hit numpad enter, duly noted. It will, and yeah, then it'll just go through and start downloading it. And you will just see the rest of the video, other than this edit. Basically, if you saw briefly at the top there, it just acquired the tokens for my accounts. So it said, yes, I do own Phasmaphobia. You guys will get prompted for a Steam auth code, but unfortunately, because I did just record this and actually give it my Steam auth code, I had to cut that part out because, yeah, I had trouble blurring out my username and password. But yeah, it will probably ask you guys for an auth code if you got Steam auth on. It did send me an auth code, which can probably show you, just so you don't think I'm being sus or whatever. But yeah, this is it here. It did send me the Steam code. But yeah, you guys will have to do that yourselves. Enter the Steam code. It'll just go through and it'll finish downloading the whole game. And yeah, it'll pop it in that folder. Alright. Oh, yeah, this is what it's going to do. It's going to go ahead and start downloading. It may miss a few, like it may say failed if your connection gets a bit slow. Don't worry about that. You can always run it again if it misses any files. No harm done. I personally have never had it miss files. Up here, oh, is it going to let me? No, it's not going to let me. But at the very beginning, I'll see if I can pause it in editing and just show you. There is a moment when it will say like this amount of tokens were assigned to your account, and that's it. It's seeing that you own a bunch of games, basically. Anyway, I closed that because I've already got that patch. It would go through normally until 100%. Sometimes it might get stuck, so if it gets stuck on like 15% for about 10 minutes, click into the window and then just hit enter on your keyboard, and it might like jump ahead to like 40%. Like there are files that are significantly bigger than others in the Phasmaphobia folder. In this folder here, that as you can see, there's some files that are huge compared to this. Like this file's 3 gig, this file's 11 megabytes. So this file is going to make up, 0.1%, but when it's downloading this, it's going to sit on this for about 10 minutes, depending on your internet speed, and then it's going to like jump 10%. So don't panic if it's taking its time. Anyway, when you're done downloading, this is the folder we were doing the CMD in. You'll see this depots folder. and then you'll now see this folder here, this numbered folder. This is the patch that we've just downloaded. So you'd go in here, and all the files would be here for you. I'm just going to delete this because I already have it. It will pre-allocate the size. So it'll say it's 13 gig straight away, but it hasn't actually downloaded 13 gig. Right, so this is my patch here. So to play it, quite literally, these here are just images from the last game. They don't matter, so that's what's missing. I would just grab this, minus that folder. You don't need that folder. That's just a log file to show you that you've downloaded that patch. So you'd copy these. Now, this is the part where it gets interesting. This is why I said to keep this on the same drive that your Phasmaphobia is on, because I had a friend and she did this, and she ran into the issue. She was copying it from her SSD to a hard drive where Phasmaphobia is, and hard drive's very slow, and copying it from another drive to a hard drive is very slow. And from my experience, it's better to do this while Steam is actually open. So I highly recommend having Steam open like this, and then copying these in from the same drive, and Steam will not like run a check and go, oh, this game's out of date. Whereas if you copy it from another drive to a hard drive, you may have issues. But if it's an SSD to an SSD, it's fast enough, so don't worry about that. I'm just warning you guys, you may have issues doing that. So yeah, keep it on the same drive, copy it, and then paste it into your Phas files. So just go here, delete your current Phasmaphobia files, go like this, paste the old files in there. Yep. This SSD isn't the quickest in the world, but it's a good NVMe. Yeah, when it gets there. I don't know off the top of my head the interval Steam runs file checks on when it's open to see if the files are old or corrupt. But I know she had issues when it was being slow. Anyway, so they're in the Phasmaphobia folder now. And quite simply, you just run the game. Nothing too complicated. This should launch me into quite an old patch, and I should be about level 600, whereas now I'm about level 1700, I think. FPS may be choppy. Yep, see, 600. If I go to the item store, no dots projector, nothing. I'll quickly jump into training. I don't want you guys to see this choppy performance. It's just probably in 30 FPS. Right. This wasn't the best way. I'll probably cut this bit. So, co-op will absolutely work. You just need to be on the same server version, and you'll see population 2, it works exactly like you think it does. It's actually pretty funny. So you just create a public lobby if you want to, and your friend will just see. They'll just refresh and they'll see your server. I actually couldn't believe it worked that simply, to be honest, when I launched the game the first time. This is the pain of old Phasmaphobia. At least this patch I got has an all button. I'd highly recommend the March 6th patch, that was this one I'm on. This is what I'd call the peak of Phasmaphobia. This is the peak of old Phasmaphobia, because this is where you could just choose. Prison just got added to the main build, and yeah, a bunch of other little changes. So yeah, this is old equipment, old cameras, old temp guns, still pretty powerful. It's not the original build, the one I'm on right now, that InSim's on, as you can see from the font. But yeah, this is when they got rid of the stupid objectives too. Like, detect a room under 10 degrees and dirty water, I believe. But this is a really, really fun patch of Phas. This is like old Phas. They're the only ghosts. This is the same amount of ghosts as the one Insim's been playing on YouTube. So the only difference between his and this one is he's running one that has OP as crap temp guns that I have actually played on, and a bunch of other things like the dirty water objective. There's a couple of really strange objectives that I'd forgotten about. Yeah, have fun with that, but yep, just to show you it works. And say you're now done, you have finished playing the old patch and you don't want to leave it, you just want to pop your your current Phas files back in there. What you do, go to where you back them up. So this is my current build backup that I did. And then you delete the old patch out of the Phasmaphobia files. Off it goes. And then you copy the current build and paste it. Alternatively, if you've got really cracked internet, like most people that aren't me, all you can do is either wait for it to just like relaunch Steam and it'll probably just go, oh, your files are old, and start downloading them again. So I recommend doing this when you're done. If you don't want to have to re-download it, just quickly go back in and fix the files, which shouldn't be a problem if you've got everything on an SSD. As you can see, it'll just zoom along. It'll take like 30 seconds, a minute to do this, so it's really no trouble. And once you have these files, once you have all this stuff in a folder somewhere, it will be so much simpler. Like next time you want to do this, it's just a matter of going into your old patch folder, delete the Phas files out of its folder, and then just paste them. So just delete the current Phas, paste the old one in. One thing I'd recommend is if there's a major update, so say there's a 2 gig update tomorrow, just re-back up your new files, and possibly re-back up your save if it's been a while, if you made some progress in the game that you don't want to lose. I'd think it's 1 in 1,000 that you'd ever lose your save. It would go corrupt, but better to be safe than sorry, especially while recommending things to people. So yeah, that's all there is, I believe. Issues, yeah, the only issue I found was when, as I say, my friend, she had the old files on her Windows SSD, but Phasmophobia on her hard drive, and to get it to work, she had to copy the old Phas files to the hard drive first, and then copy them from the hard drive to where Phasmophobia was on Steam on the hard drive. So it's copying to the same place, or copying on the same drive, if that makes any sense, because yeah, copying to a hard drive is a lot slower than just moving something from somewhere on the hard drive to somewhere else on it. And that gets around Steam realizing that you've done that, because it didn't take very long at all. But yeah, other than that, issues, I had an issue because I've done this quite a few times now for different things. I've done it for Rainbow Six Siege Chimera, because I wanted to play Operation Chimera again and play Outbreak, if anyone remembers that. But the issue I had with this depot downloader was it needed a specific version of .NET Framework that it wasn't prompting me to get. So when you launch this, I could be wrong, but if you launch this and it prompts you to go get .NET Framework, you download it, you restart the program, and it still prompts you again, and it doesn't work, the command doesn't work. Basically, I will try and link the .NET Framework version I have, because it may need a specific version that it's not prompting you. Because when I did this Siege patch, it was prompting me to go get 5.1 or whatever, but it actually needed 5.4, so the developers of the program didn't prompt to go get the right version. But I don't think that'll be a problem, I'm just waffling here. But if you do have any problems, just put a comment on the video, I guess. Sure, I will be happy to help you. I have myself have had no problems with this whatsoever, though. I only had one friend that had a problem with this, and I've done this with 3 friends so far. We've played about 3 old versions of Phas. I played 2 before this. This is the newest old patch I've played. Highly recommend this patch, by the way. Once again, I'll leave this command here in the description, so you can copy paste it. Just change this number here to whatever patch you want, like I showed you before with using the SteamDB site and the patch page, nice and easy. And yeah, change where I've put Steam username here, or Steam username to your sign-in name and your sign-in password, and then put in your verification key if you've got 2-factor, and should be good to go. Yeah, I suppose that's it. Thanks for watching.